The surgical microscope has been a fixture in the vitreoretinal operating room for almost half a century and has not changed much. The optics were great then and remain great now. But recent advances in digital imaging, video microscopy, and 3D HD machine vision have put us on the cusp of a digital revolution. The next decade will see 3D HD machine vision replace the analog microscope completely. What I'd like to talk about today is the future. Digital images consist of pixels. Stringing digital images together gives us video. The perceived quality of video depends on pixel count, frame rate, and the dynamic range of the camera. It's only been in the past 5 to 7 years that chipsets good enough to capture, process, render, and display high-quality images with a latency in the imperceptible 30 to 80 millisecond range have become available. 2020 visual acuity represents an angular resolving capacity of 1 minute of arc. Video microscopy is set up to mimic the Buick geometry of the microscope, with a field of view of about 30 degrees. In this scenario, the pixel density of 480i interlaced video yields 2200 equivalent visual acuity, but 1080p high-definition video yields pixel density equivalent to 2040 vision. This is an absolutely essential principle because high-grade depth perception is a direct product of 2D image resolution. Standard definition 3D video yields only gross stereo acuity, but 1080p 3D video gives us high-grade stereo vision, which, when coupled with slightly increased zoom settings, is equivalent to 2020 visual acuity and the resulting normal stereo acuity of 40 seconds of arc that we perceive looking through the oculars of the microscope. The single snapshot dynamic range of the human eye under photopic conditions is in the 10 to 14 f-stop range, which is remarkably close to the 8 to 11 f-stop dynamic range of today's imaging sensors. When these sensors are combined with high dynamic range imaging algorithms, dynamic range is functionally equivalent to optical viewing through the microscope. Proof of concept data demonstrating the equivalency of 3D HD machine vision for primary visualization during vitrectomy surgery goes back to 2010, when we first presented a series of heads-up surgeries at the AAO using an early iteration of the TrueVision system, as well as a self-built system using 2 Optronics cameras, my personal home theater 3D projectors, and a portable daylight silver screen. Anatomic and visual outcomes were excellent, operative times were acceptable, and surgeon ergonomics were superb. Equivalency was established. In the 6 years since these groundbreaking surgeries, technology has continued to dramatically improve, and now a growing number of surgeons across the world have embraced the road less well traveled. But the really big question of the day is, why is 3D HD digital machine vision better than the old analog microscope? Why should we switch? Why should we embrace this technology? There are many reasons. Here now, today, are surgeon ergonomics, teaching, lower light pipe intensity, intraoperative auxiliary video handling, digital red-free settings, and digital overlays. 50 to 80% of ophthalmologists have C-spine and upper back problems. I'm 48 years old, I operate 2 full days per week and feel tons better after a day of heads-up surgery than after a day of old-school surgery at the microscope head. My family notices the difference too. I'm way less cranky. Look at the back and neck position of these surgeons at the microscope and compare them to these surgeons operating heads up. I am convinced heads up surgery will extend my career by 10 years. Teaching is much better for both the student and the attending. Watching surgery becomes more educational and occurs without neck pain. 10 people can observe and see exactly what the surgeon sees, not just one sitting at the side scope. 1,000 people watched from this room The mentor watches from a distance, giving the trainee the perception of autonomy and causing less anxiety. When needed, the student-teacher switch happens in a fraction of the time without adjusting PDs at the surgical microscope. Everyone is more patient, everyone is less anxious, and fellows and residents get to do more. Heads-up viewing systems have better low-light performance than the human eye, which allows the surgeon to turn down the light pipe. With Constellation, my light pipe is set from 30 to 40% when I operate old school, versus from 5 to 20% when I operate heads-up. With EVA, the light pipe goes from 100% down to 30 to 50%. Less phototoxicity risk is always a good thing. Heads-up viewing systems allow for more than one video stream to be simultaneously displayed. Intraoperative OCT and ocular endoscopy feeds are displayed side by side with the primary surgical image, eliminating the awkward face turn to look at another screen. Digital overlays make toric IOL placement precise and efficient. Surgeons can have a cut along the dotted line experience. The surgeon is immersed in a consolidated surgical information handling system, a surgical cockpit. Some of the innovations planned for the very near future include expanded electromagnetic bandwidth and multispectral imaging, real-time digital signal enhancement algorithms, and diagnostic testing integration and registration with the live operative field. None of this is remotely possible with traditional optics-based microscopy. Of course, it's obvious that I am very excited about the current advantages of heads-up surgery as well as the enormous future potential of this tech. But perhaps the most exciting part of this technology to me is that it has the potential to reduce the financial barrier to entry of microsurgery in the developing world, where the cost of a microscope can be a deal breaker. Optics, heavy floor stands, and magnetic friction locks are expensive. Camera chips and computer CPUs are not. So I think we're really looking at the tip of the iceberg here. Icebergs arise from huge glaciers that carve solid rock and create magnificent landscapes. The magnificent landscape of digital microscopy.